England have named their squad for the summer tour to Japan and New Zealand, and there are some surprises. Lots to discuss on this video. I'm Tim, this is Egg Chasers. The paper that I've just printed the England squad out onto is still warm. It is hot off the press, and yeah, lots to discuss. A few questions I want to ask straight away, and please put your answers to these in the comments. Who do you think is hardest done by in the squad, or not to be in the squad, I should say? Who are you most pleased to see in the squad? And I want your thoughts as well. At the end of the video, once I've gone through position by position, I'm going to pick what I think is England's strongest team for the test matches against New Zealand, which should be massive next month. And I would love to know if you agree or disagree and where. So, 36 names, like I say, 20 forwards, 16 backs, 6 uncapped players among them. And you've got in the forwards, Finn Baxter of Harlequins, Gabriel Ogre of Bristol, and behind the scrum, Luke Northmore of Harlequins, Tom Roback and Joe Carpenter of Sale Sharks, and Ollie Slightholme has got himself into the touring party, which is fantastic to him. I think the two that had the biggest question marks next to them, would they, wouldn't they? Well, 3 actually. Gabe Ogre, I thought maybe Curtis Langdon might come in, and Gabe Ogre might have just been a training squad spot. And then the two there, Ollie Slightholme and Joe Carpenter, thought maybe one of them might make it, but they're both in. Interesting. Your thoughts on the uncapped players then. Let's go through position by position, and it leaves the England squad like this. At loose head prop, Joe Marler, Finn Baxter and Bevan Rodd, who are in the training squad already, continue in the training squad. Beno Obano of Bath, red card in the final. I haven't heard what his suspension, if any, is, but I wonder if that played a part or whether he wasn't going to be on the tour anyway. I personally would have taken Beno Obano, but maybe he wasn't going to be available, which this is just rubbing salt in the wound after Saturday, of course, for Obano. And then at hooker, you've got the same players that were in the training squad last week again. Gabe Ogre and the two from Saracens, Theo Dan and captain Jamie George. Curtis Langdon has had such a good season that I thought, and I would have brought him back in. What I wonder is interesting is the Japan game is in less than 2 weeks. And I just wonder, with Theo Dan and Jamie George being the clear 1 and 2 for England, whether Steve Borthwick is thinking about the Japan test match, and would he have been able to pick Curtis Langdon, having only been in camp for a little bit and having to travel almost straight away out to Japan. I just wonder if that is why Gabe Ogre has got the nod. That's just a thought. Let me know if you agree or disagree. If you think Ogre deserves his spot above Langdon, hey, feel free to say that in the comment. I just wonder if actually, weirdly, being in a Premiership final may have been the reason why Langdon hasn't made it. Tight head prop, and you've got the 2 Leicester men who were already in camp in Joe Hayes and Dan Cole, joined by Will Stewart. Trevor Davison of Newcastle, maybe the player that can feel a bit hard done by then. Second row, and there are 4, as there were before, 2 out, 2 in. Nick Ezekwe and Russ Tuima are out, and in come 1 from Northampton, 1 from Bath, Alex Coles and Charlie Yules. No complaints here on either of those selections. That looks like the best 4 performing locks that are available, obviously without Ollie Chesham, who's injured. 7 back row players, and Greg Fisselau and Tom Willis drop out of the training squad, and you've got Sam Underhill coming in, meaning you've got 7 there. You've got double curry. Twindaloo is travelling. I'm really pleased for them both. I really am. One for Tom Curry for getting back fit and injured, and the other for Ben Curry not getting dropped as a consequence of his twin brother getting in. Ben Curry has been brilliant this season. I'm really pleased for both of them. And there's a nice balance to that one. Ethan Roots and Chandler Cunningham South, a couple of just guys that love to bang on the blindside flank. And you've got a few options at open side. And then, well, a lot of versatility there. Alex Donbrandt, the only out-and-out 8. But Tom Curry and Ben Earl, obviously Ben Earl, can play there as well. No Tom Pearson, no Alfie Barbary, no Ted Hill. I'll come to who I think the most hard done by players are, and I'd love to know what you think. As we move into the back line, Alex Mitchell understandably comes back in. Ben Spencer expected those 2, but Harry Randall has been selected over Jack Van Portfleet. I'm delighted about that selection. JVP's really good. Rafi Quirk also drops out. He was in camp last week. But Harry Randall, that speaks to me about the continuing evolution of England's attack and how they want to play. I think little Harry Randall has been absolutely ace. You have to call him little Harry Randall. That's the rules. Oh, that is the rules. It's like you call some players big Dave Ewers, big Stuart McCloskey, little Harry Randall. Right, fly half. It's the two Smith boys. We know George Ford was out. The question was going to be, is he going to take 3? Probably not. You've got Henry Slade. You've got George Furbank in the squad. You don't need another fly half. Marcus Smith will start against Japan, you would think, because Finn Smith's only just finished playing. And then I think it's probably Marcus Smith's 10 jersey for the test matches at New Zealand, with Finn Smith getting a little bit of time off the bench, perhaps. Centre, there's 4 of them. Luke Northmore, one of the new caps, and the other 3 were the ones that were involved in the Six Nations squad. Henry Slade, what a journey he's had, missing out on the World Cup squad, and he's been absolutely amazing. And I think him and Ollie Lawrence are the 2 that are likely to take the spot in the midfield for England. And the back 3, Max Malins drops out of the training squad for last week, and you've got those 3 players coming in. The back 3 for Northampton Saints: Ollie Slightholme, Tommy Freeman, George Furbank, richly deserved, and Joe Carpenter, along with Tom Roebuck, they're from Sale Sharks, with Emmanuel Faye-Wabosu and Freddie Stewart. I wonder, because I mentioned George Ford dropped out, George Ford would have been travelling and England would have taken 3 fly half, surely, had Ford been fit. That means someone has got the spot that George Ford has vacated, and I think it's one of the guys that play fullback. Furbank was going to travel, probably Stewart was going to travel, but Joe Carpenter's been so good, maybe Stewart could have been the one to miss out. I think probably Joe Carpenter has got George Ford's spot in this 36-man squad, and it's quite nice that a Sale Sharks man isn't in, but a Sale Sharks man takes his spot. I quite like that. That's just my thought. Again, tell me if you disagree. Who has been most unfortunate to miss out? These are my 3. Curtis Langdon at hooker has been so good this season, and I do feel for him. I mean, yeah, he couldn't have done any more than he has done. And yeah, Gabriel Ogre is fantastic. I think on merit, if it's purely on merit based on what I've seen and who I think would make the step up to international rugby, I think Curtis Langdon's just done everything he can. And I think it might, as I say, my theory behind it is that because he's only just finished playing and was in a Premiership final 2 days ago, the game that he's most likely to play, because we've got Jamie George and Theo down there already, is the game against Japan. And that will just come too soon for him. Benno Urbano at loosehead prop. Yeah, again, Bevan Rod and Finn Baxter, I like both of them. I really like Benno Urbano. And yeah, if it's because he got a red card and he's going to be suspended, then I just feel really sorry for him on that one. And the other one, Benno Urbano's Bath teammate Ted Hill. He's the other one that I think is hardest done by. I don't like it. There's loads of things that happen when international squads get announced. You always get people going, oh, they should be in, they should be in, they should be in. But no one ever tells you who you should drop instead. And you can't pick everyone. So I'm going to say I would have had Ted Hill in my squad, and I would have dropped Ethan Roots. I'd have preferred Ted Hill to Ethan Roots. There you go. Yeah, those are the 3 that I think are hardest done by. Tell me if you disagree. As for the team that are going to play against New Zealand, in fact, firstly, let's just have a look at the squad overall. That is your England forward squad, 20 men, 3 in each of the positions in the front row, 4 locks, and 7 in the back row. I have no issues and no complaints. Like I say, I would swap Ted Hill for Ethan Roots. Other than that, crack on, like it. I think it's really good. I can understand Tom Pearson, Alfie Barbary feeling disappointed, but I think these are the guys that merit their spots most. Obviously, I would love to see Jack Willis available for England and in the squad. And if I had Jack Willis available, might have to drop Ben Curry. But yeah, anyway, there you go. And the backs, 16 names. I think he's carrying an extra body in the back 3 just for experience, maybe to play in that test match against Japan, because you have to remember, Tommy Freeman, George Furbank, Ollie Slightholme may not be involved by virtue of the fact they were playing in the Premiership final, so the back 3 and the bench might have to come from the other players. Delighted for Luke Northmore, actually a new face who's a genuine centre in the midfield. It's great that he's battled back from injury, played really well for Quins, and in he goes. And the one selection I'm most pleased about out of all of them is Harry Randall, because that is Harry Randall being picked over Jack Van Poortvliet. Jack Van Poortvliet he has got a good running game, but he's probably England's best box kicker. He's absolutely brilliant. The hang time he gets He's so good at that. Harry Randall is the best English scrum half just at broken field loose play. And I think that speaks to how Steve Borthwick is trying to evolve the attack of this team. And that makes me feel most positive of all. So weirdly, the selection I'm most happy about, Harry Randall. As for the team that I think will be playing New Zealand, I reckon it'll be that. What do you think? I think the back row, if everyone's fit and Tom Curry can be fit, then I would pick Tom Curry at 6. I could see Steve Borthwick going for Cunningham South or Roots as the 6. Be quite a nice story for Ethan Roots going back to New Zealand and playing 6. But I would pick that. I know you're missing a line-out jumper potentially with Tom Curry there, but I think more than makes up for it. I noticed what Steve Borthwick was doing with Joe Marler and Dan Cole, his 2 best scrummaging props. He was only playing one of them or the other, not the 2 of them together, almost to kind of balance the strengths out. So I think he'll do the same. I've gone for Rod over Baxter, but it could be Baxter over Rod. And the back line, to me, it picks itself. The one question mark might be who's on the bench. Is it going to be Freddie Stewart or someone else? Your thoughts? I'm quite optimistic and excited. I think it's going to be a belting test series. We've got the game a week on Saturday, early in the morning, like 7 a.m, isn't it? Against Eddie Jones's first match back in charge of Japan. I can't believe it's not got a television broadcaster to broadcast it. I know it's early in the morning, but that just seems nuts. So it'll be streamed online. And then the 2 test matches against New Zealand should be amazing. So lots of international rugby coming up. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, I would love it if this video, if you're still watching, you must have enjoyed it. So hit subscribe. That really helps, as does giving the video a thumbs up and dropping your comment down below. See you on the next one.